All right, friends, welcome back to the bonus video. We are talking about autos this week and all of the myriad forms that it can take. Very powerful word, and so your practice for this week was just a whole bunch of sentences that incorporated autos. So let's go ahead and get started and just go through this and see how you did. Number one here, edamen gar autu ton astera en te anatale. So gar first, that's our post positive. Remember, it can't ever be first in a sentence, so it gets relegated usually to second place. But a lot of times we're going to translate it in English first, right? So for we saw autu ton astera. Normally we're used to autu in this sort of a case in the possessive being after the noun it's modifying, but it doesn't have to be like we see here. Okay, in this case it's before. For we saw his star in the east. So this usage of autu is the most common, and it's that third person personal pronoun. Okay, that's what we want to think first. And if that works, that's usually all we have to do. If it doesn't work, or if it seems like something else is going on, we want to look for one of those other options. But for we saw his star in the east. Number one. Number two, praxuxata ton auton logon. Okay, so it's not possessive this time, which is maybe a hint. He prayed ton auton logon. So in this case, we have to go back to our rules. Remember what we talked about. So if there's the predicate position and there's the attributive position. If there is a definite article with the adjective, which auton is, we're treating that as an adjective this time, and not the noun, then we call that the attributive position. And usually if it's in the attributive position, then we're going to have that identical adjective construction. We're going to translate it as the same. Okay, so he prayed the same word, the same thing, we would probably say in English. Okay, the same prayer, we might say. Even though logon doesn't mean prayer, it means word, but it's being used metaphorically. Okay, that's just how they say that. But if we wanted to try some of the other ones, could it mean he prayed the word itself? You might be able to talk yourself into that being true, but the rules, if we follow those rules, that leads us in another direction. What about if we wanted to try it as a personal program? He prayed him. He prayed. You can't say his word because it's not genitive, it's not possessive, it's accusative. So it's really hard to make that into a pronoun there, isn't it? So that's why we have to see it as the identical adjective, which is what's going on here. Number three, autas de ha ioannes eken ta enduma autu apa trikon kamelu. Okay, another post positive here, de, oftentimes going to translate it first in English, even though it can't be first in the sentence. So, and John, and so we have this autos here. Now, names can be kind of tricky because this looks like a feminine, doesn't it? Looks like maybe a genitive feminine or something. But if we have trouble with names, we can always look at the definite article. Like almost every time a name shows up, it'll have a definite article with it because names are, by definition, definite, so we can tell that this is nominative masculine singular. This is also nominative masculine singular. So that's going to give us a hint about what's going on. So John wore clothes, and then autu, we've got another autu, two in the same sentence. Okay, so this one is, go ahead and parse it. Yeah, masculine genitive singular. Okay, it could actually be neuter as well, but it's, chances are it's talking about John here, which it is in fact. So it's going to be his clothes. Okay, so this is the pronoun usage. This one up here then, as we see, again, agreeing in case gender number, it's not possessive. It's going to be that adjectival intensive, right? So, and John himself wore his clothes from camel's hair. Or I might say made from camel's hair, kind of assumed there. Okay, so two uses of autos there. Hope you were able to recognize those. Number four, kai lege auto e huias e tu theu bale sauton kato. And he said, auto here, to him. Okay, the dative usage, masculine nominative singular, could be dative. It could be he said to it. However, we know from context that, And by the way, it's almost always going to be, him in this case. Could be her if it was aute with the iota subscript. But you're not going to talk to too many its, right? Tables or whatever. Inanimate objects or neuter nouns. I suppose there's a case, where that probably comes up, but it's going to be rather rare. So, and he said to him, e huias e tu theu, if you are the son, or could even be a son, because there's no definite article there, but let's assume it's the son. If you are the son to theu of God, if you are the son of God, bale seotan katu, throw yourself down. This is Satan tempting Jesus in the wilderness, right? Takes him up to the pinnacle of the temple and tries to get him to throw himself off. Jesus doesn't fall for it, right? So here's the auto, that dative, okay? The pronoun usage. Number 5, Iakoban tan tu Zebediah kai Ioannein tan Adelphon autu. Jacob, and then notice we have back-to-back definite articles here. This looks a little bit weird if you haven't seen it before. Tan tu Zebediah. Which one of these goes with Zebedee here? Yeah, it's this one right here, isn't it? The one that's closest to it and that matches in ending. Okay, so Jacob the Zebedee, right? What's going on there? This is it's taking out a word. It's removed a word. What word do you think it's removed? Yeah, it's Huion, the son of Zebedee. Why would they do that? Well, because they just say it so much, it's just assumed. It's pretty clear. If you're doing some sort of a genealogy thing, rather than saying son a whole bunch of times, or in this case, it's just a listing of the disciples, I believe. But this just became a shorthand idiom of referring to ancestry, so to speak. So Jacob, or actually tends to be translated James in the New Testament. James, the son of Zebedee, and John, the brother of him. Okay, or his brother, we would say in English. So autu here, once again, third person, personal pronoun. Hopefully you got that. Number 6, ex el plaisanta hoi akloi epi te didake autu. The crowds, here's our subject, our nominative there, nominative masculine plural. The crowds marveled at or upon teaching of him, his teaching. Okay, the crowds marveled at his teaching. Okay, so autu, once again, third person personal pronoun. This will show up a million times. It's good for you to recognize these. And number 7, kaiuthus legusin auto peri autes. Okay, we got a couple here, right? We've got auto, we've got autes. How are they the same and how are they different? Well, they're the same because they're the same lexical form, same word, same lexeme. Okay, but they're different in that this one is masculine dative singular. This one is feminine genitive singular, right? This could also be neuter dative singular, but again, if they're speaking to, to him, that sort of thing. So, and immediately they spoke to him concerning or about her. Okay, they spoke to him concerning or about her. Once again, this preposition controlling the case of this word here. Okay, so that's a bunch of autos practice. Hopefully that went okay for you, and you're getting used to the different ways that autos can show up. It can be a little bit tricky, but that's why we try to give you a lot of practice. Keep reading, keep translating, keep having fun with your Greek. Give it some time. We'll see you next time.